Armstrong River North, and we are hopping back on today to greet you with a little foraging talk. I'm Bree,
I'm Darren,
and we make up Armstrong River North.
and we just this morning put together a video of some still pictures over the last couple of years that we've taken of the different kinds of foraging that we do in and on and around our farm in the northern part of Minnesota. So
Make
this,
sure to hop on and take a look at that
yeah,
video and let us know if that's some of the things that you like to harvest from your land.
it was we got about an inch and a half of new snow on the ground this morning, so it's a little bit tricky to forage right now. And we were talking, um, I guess we were talking about plans for the future to summertime. We can't wait to do this, can't wait to do that, and thought, you know what, let's put together a foraging video and go on and talk foraging a little bit. We certainly aren't experts at it, but we do quite a bit of it and are always thankful for what we can find on our farm for food.
The last slide that we did, we had a harvester that makes natural beauty products and lotions and things from her land, and talked about some wild asparagus and some other things that she does. So if that's something that you do, let us know. It's always nice to hear that there are other people out there and what they like to do with the items that they find. So,
And we don't do any of that. I have seen wild asparagus. I've never harvested it, and we don't create anything other than food with the things we gather from nature. Like I said, we are probably novice level more than expert level, maybe a little above novice, but we're mostly in the food part of foraging.
some of the things that we have, if you haven't already checked out the video, but make sure to do so. Make sure to subscribe and like for continued content as we go through the years here. Some of the things are choke cherries and plums and morels.
Um, those are the big three on the farm. Excuse me. We also start the year, well, not the beginning of the year, but when nature allows, we begin our foraging with maple sap in the springtime, which I'm not exactly sure if that counts as foraging, but we're going to count it.
I think so.
And from there, we go to morel mushroom picking, and then wait for the blueberries to ripen in midsummer, and then it's kind of a cascade of one thing after another. From I forgot the June berries. The June
Oh,
berries, I
Juneberries,
guess we
yes.
those are sort of hit and miss. It depends on if the birds get them before we get them or not. But June berries, blueberries, chokecherries, high bush cranberries, and wild plums are some of the different things that we harvest each year.
And if you'd like to see it, I would love to be able to create a video to show you all the things that mounts from all of those, the gatherings and the harvesting that we do. So um, we have lots of jams and jellies, and we made some pretty good mushroom swish burgers with the morels. And yeah, it's,
But yeah, we
yeah.
don't let any of it go to waste. A lot of it gets preserved. Some of it gets eaten fresh, but a lot of it goes into canning and preserving, like Bree said, syrups and jams and jellies. So we are uh, we are always looking for ways to take what nature has to offer.
And it's very strategic too, that I've noticed throughout the years as we've been doing this. Darren's been doing this longer than I have. He actually introduced me to a lot of it, but it's just, you have to time it just right. I feel like sometimes we get up there, it's too early or it's too wet, and maybe things are not thriving quite as well as they have in other years, but have to be very careful about that. So we make sure to kind of have a planned amount of time, which is like, this is the time that the morels are up, and we got to make sure to head out there and get them before, they dry up and they're no good anymore.
Yeah, like everything else in nature, it's weather dependent. And Bree mentioned get up there. We live in central Minnesota, but our farm is in northern Minnesota, so we aren't on the property all the time. So yeah, it really does come down to timing, and there is no one set date for when the sap starts to run, or the mushrooms are ready, or the blueberries are ripe. There are general times of year that you can pretty much count on. Okay, this is blueberry time, this is cranberry time, but from year to year, it really depends on whether there will be those things or not.
Mhm. So let us know where you're from and what kind of items that you like to forage for on your property or maybe surrounding areas. I know not only on our land, but that we have a secret spot that we like to go to get wild blueberries.
Yeah.
And um, it is hard, painstaking work, but it's really worth it. You'll see in that video, our foraging video that we just posted today, of some of the buckets of blueberries that we've
Yep.
collected. So
Yeah, I think I said earlier, we start our year with sap collecting from maple trees. Our particular property has a few maple trees, but not enough to really produce mass amounts of sap. So my folks do a lot of the sap collecting. In fact, they do pretty much all of it. But if we can get up there at times, in time, we get in on it a little bit. What we really like to get in on though is the mushrooming. That's anytime from the first weekend in May through maybe the third weekend in May. It really depends on the spring thaw. Mushrooms, they need pretty good moisture. They need, usually the key temperature is 70 degrees during the day and then maybe no less than 50 at night. Cold nights usually stunt their growth a little bit, and cool days, same thing. The key question is always, where do you look for mushrooms? My wise guy answer is on the ground. That's probably the best answer anyway, because mushrooms, in our experience, mushrooms seem to want to grow where they want to grow. And to look in this area or that area or this kind of habitat can work, but gosh, we've seen them everywhere from old growth forest to some of the new growth, regenerated growth from logging operations. We've seen them in both those places. I guess I tend to look for them where there's an aspen stand. Some folks say that downed elm trees are good producers, rotted elm trees, I should say, that have blown down and have started to rot. Those will, I found them there too, but it's really hit and miss some years. Some places that produce mushrooms really well one year won't have any the following year, vice versa. So,
and I think I found that they're mostly around the areas that have a lot of snakes.
this is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, mushrooming and snake awakenings each spring tend to coincide. And unfortunately, Bree is not fond of our slithery friends. I'm not either, but it is part of the adventure, dodging snakes as you look for morels.
But it's a good time. We really enjoyed just the hunt. All of us as a family will go out there and just, I think we usually have a little bit of competition because we're all very competitive, and we like to just find out how many we gather as a whole and how many each person gets. So I don't know that I've ever won that competition, but it is pretty cool to see the different sizes of them, and just some of them that will walk right by, like three of us, and then the fourth person in the line ends up finding it. So it's just neat to see it kind of as a good test for who's the eagle eye in the family. And
To think that finding mushrooms could be exciting seems counterintuitive, we know, but there's a rush when you're searching, especially when you find that first one each year, because they just are suddenly there. You can stand and stare at a spot and stare at a spot, and it's almost like it grew within seconds of you looking away. And there is a thrill to finding those first ones. And when you find the first one, I've always said, when you find one, there's more. And before I go and pick that first one, I stop and really scour the area to make sure I'm not going to stomp on two or three on my way to pick the one that I saw. So if you've never mushroomed before, you probably would be better off joining someone who has. There are what are called false morels they are somewhat toxic. I think if you ate one, you'd probably be okay, but if you ate too many, you might not go mushrooming again. So the problem, that is the problem with mushrooming. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for, it can be deadly. So please don't just go out and start picking whatever mushroom you happen to see. Some are edible, some are not. The only ones that we harvest are morels.
Just gonna say that, yeah, there's a lot of different types.
There are others in Minnesota that are edible. I guess I shouldn't say that. When we've gone blueberrying, we've harvested the chanterelle mushroom.
Chanterelle, that's what it's
We
called.
haven't eaten them. My uncle really likes to eat them, and he taught us what to look for. And so I have picked those. I just haven't eaten them. They don't really grow very much that I know of on our property, but that is another type that is available. And I know there's more too, but we really focus on the morels in May.
Some of the other things we look forward to that I feel like is another rush that we'll get is choke cherry picking time. We watch them, we ride around on the property and we see them, but they're not quite ready. But once they're ready, it's go time. And we'll get out. And I think the best kinds we have are we have a video that you can check out on our channel that we just go out there and it's just loaded. And it takes about 20 minutes, and we filled up our buckets and we're done for the season. So that's kind of a great one that we like to look for. We've had some off years that it took a lot longer to pick, but I would say the last couple have been, they've produced very well for us. So,
Yeah, last year was probably one of the best.
yeah.
I think I even said in one of our videos, one of the top 2 or 3 years I can remember of picking choke cherries. They hung in big black bunches where you could pull them off by the handful, and the buckets we fill are usually 5 quart buckets, and we don't get them right to the top, but we fill a solid bucket, or sorry, a solid quart. No, good grief. I'm a math
Gallon.
teacher.
No.
We fill a gallon at a
Mhm.
time, pick a gallon at a time, and we probably could have picked 100 gallons easily last
Mhm.
year if we wanted to. So I'm uh, I'm hopeful for another good crop. Like Bree said, the last couple of years have been really good. Last year was a bumper crop. Sometimes that third year, the bushes need to rest a little bit and don't produce quite as well, but we'll see.
I think it's very interesting how we'll have some bushes where I remember picking from that were just loaded, and then other years we'll go to that same bush and there's really not much there.
Yeah,
So we do kind of check them out and find the areas that we feel like we're going to pick and just wait till they're ready. So,
yeah, our property is abundant with, that's probably the number one thing we forage off of our property that is almost a consistent year to year crop for us. The mushrooms would be second most, but we don't really pick a lot of those, but choke cherries we usually do try to
mhm.
harvest as many as we can. And you know what? I shouldn't say it like that either, because there's only so much you can do with the choke cherry. It's not an eating berry. It's either syrup or a jelly. It does have a pit inside, which technically has a trace amount of cyanide in it, so you really don't want to eat too many of them, and they taste absolutely horrible. But when you process them down into their juice and then put in enough sugar, they are pretty fantastic to taste.
And Dare makes a really good blueberry choke cherry syrup. That's one that's kind of a favorite in our town and in our house.
Yep.
So,
If the blueberry crop is good, and
yes.
that's probably the biggest hit or miss crop that we go after. We don't have wild blueberries that grow on our, well, I shouldn't say it. We have a couple bushes here and there on our property, but really not anything that we could harvest. So we have to drive quite a ways to the secret blueberry woods. But it's been, well, I guess year before last, we had a pretty good crop. This past year was one of the worst in memory actually. So we didn't get any blueberries this last year, unfortunately. Um, what's the other one that we pick a lot?
Cranberries, and
Yeah,
there weren't really any cranberries this last
no.
year. A few, but just nothing. In past years, though, we've been able to gather quite a few. But
And when we talk about cranberries on our property, we're in Minnesota, especially northern Minnesota. It's high bush cranberries.
mhm.
They're not the kind that you would find in the store for Thanksgiving. Those are low bush cranberries. The low bush are also what you would get your cranberry juice made from. In Minnesota, our cranberries are a much smaller berry that grow on a high bush. And so a little bit different than what most folks are used to. They're coming back on our property that we used to have. When I was a kid, we used to have a lot of bushes of them, and for various reasons, habitat changes and so on, some of the patches we used to pick faded out. But I am noticing in these last 5 to 10 years a rebirth, I suppose, of the cranberry bush, the high bush cranberry. And like any other berry, it's really hit and miss. Last year was not terrible, but not great. And the biggest problem with high bush cranberries for us is that they don't ripen until mid to late September. And as I mentioned, I am a teacher, and by then it gets harder to get up there and harvest them. So you got to beat the birds to them. Grouse love high bush cranberries once they ripen, and so if you're not there right away, they're pretty much gone within a week.
Another thing that we get are wild plums.
Mm.
And that, what month is that usually when they come up that we
That's
are pulling them?
usually early
Kind of
September.
depends when they're,
Yeah,
um,
late August, early September, maybe mid-September.
mhm. We've had a couple of rough years that when we've harvested the plums that just didn't turn out so well. But that usually makes for like a nice, just subtle, sweet syrup, and enjoy that. Not quite as much as the others, but
Yeah,
that's one too that, well, I think the our daughter, the young or the second youngest, appreciates it the most.
yeah.
So.
They're the easiest ones to fill a bucket because they're nice and big. So
Mhm.
it doesn't take too long to get a gallon. I'll get the math right this time. Get a gallon bucket full of plums.
So I would love to know, some of the people that are joining us, what you like to harvest from your land. It's always nice to hear different stories, what you do with it, what type of seasons you like to pull it. There's just so much to learn. I feel like if you get in touch with an expert forager, there's some classes that they do in our local area here that it's just really interesting to see what you can eat, what you can use. But those ours we stick to kind of the same things over year
Yeah.
after year, and we're happy with that. So.
Yeah, I know there are we have an abundance of wild ginger that grows every spring, and there are folks who harvest the wild ginger root. We don't.
Mhm.
Um, I know we have some wild sarsaparilla that grow. I'm not always real good at identifying it, but I usually can stumble upon some. Um, Ferns, the what are called fiddlehead ferns, when ferns first grow before they open up, I know there are folks that will harvest and use those as a edible product. Um, Dandelion leaves, you name it, there's an abundance of things out there in nature that if you have a purpose for them, they are there for the taking. But like I said, it probably would be best to accompany somebody that's done it before, or like Bree mentioned, find a foraging class. I think those are becoming a little more available in a lot of areas. Checking with state extension services or county extension services, even forestry departments, maybe soil water
Mhm.
departments in your area, or just the online crowd too. Um, but if you can connect with someone who's done it before, probably would be the best way to go out and become a forager.
Mhm. All right, so make sure to head on over to our channel and check out that foraging video, and let us know what you think. Let us know what you do with your area. We're always happy to hear some feedback and to hear about our subscribers and the people that tune in, of what you guys like to do, and just do a little networking and just get to know people. So,
So give us
all
some
right.
comments, give us some likes, and subscribe, please. And we'd love to have you join us.
Yeah, thanks again.